Welcome to Mind, Mood and Food podcast. I'm Margaret Bell, founder of Naturally Empowered Health, gut health expert, anti-diet coach and author of True Taste. And I'm here with my partner in crime, Adele Derbyshire.
Hello, I am the founder of Find Your Inner Sparkle. I am a yoga teacher and a spiritual teacher, and I help people to reduce anxiety, stress, and overwhelm, and to fall back in love with themselves and gain confidence.
And today we're talking about time management, something that's close to both our hearts, wouldn't you say, Adele?
Yes, definitely. I think most people probably agree that it's close to their hearts too, in terms of either they are good at it and super organized and efficient, but probably more so the other way, and have lots going on and juggling all the balls and just not sure how to fit everything in, basically.
Yeah. So I think I've held this with me for quite some time. The likes of the juggling balls energy. Keep a hold of the glass balls, but let the plastic balls drop.
Yeah, and I think that's alluding to prioritizing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So analogies and visualizations and things like that are good to bring it to the forefront with things like that, with time management. I think it became a keen interest of mine in my corporate job, to be honest, because having like nearly 30 years in corporate, you've got to get decent at time management, because if nothing else, the email traffic was just incredible, and I struggled with that. And as is well talked about, I talk about it a lot. When I did have a bit of a meltdown during my corporate days one time, that was due to sheer amounts of work. So we're normally okay at the juggling and things like that, when what's coming in and what's expected of us is roughly equal to what resources we've got available, time we've got available, and how good we are at kind of picking and choosing which things we do. When that scale gets out of balance and we feel like we're getting way too much in and we can't get it out of the funnel in a timely manner that feels good and appropriate, and to people that expect stuff from us and things like that, we get into a state of overwhelm. And overwhelm meaning literally, like the dictionary definitions, like this tidal wave. If you think of a wave, it literally overwhelms you, it pushes you down, takes over, and that's when we can hit burnout. We can have kind of a little breakdown where we're forced to stop because we're just kind of like head in the sand, run away, fight, flight, freeze, that kind of thing. We just can't do it anymore. And unfortunately, people tend to, it's weird because I just did a social media post about this today, but people tend to keep going
until they're
and
forced to stop.
absorbing until that critical point. And if we knew, and we talked about this more, if we knew how to manage our time better and how to get rid of some stuff, because there's lots of ways to there's more than one way to skin a cat, as the saying goes. But there's lots of ways to carve this up. Obviously, you could get more help, get more of you, which is kind of like delegation and things like that, and asking for help, reaching out for help. You could have less coming in, which is a case of boundary setting and being clear to people of what you can and can't do, and stop being a yes person. And that leads us a little bit into people pleasing. So when I work with clients, I see a pattern that a lot of my clients are people pleasers, which I am or was. Recovering people pleaser and perfectionist over here. Again, another tool is perfectionism. So if you cut down what you've got coming in, or you spread it out between more people, but you're still trying to do it to this incredibly high standard and beating yourself up if it's not that standard, then you are still going to be struggling. So time management, I can give a couple of tips in terms of how to literally, time block and get your calendar organized, use an electronic one or a paper one, whatever works for you. There's loads and loads. I've got a presentation actually on time management. It's a 90-minute presentation that I sell like a really mini course. So if anybody is interested in delving deeper, then reach out, because I can let you have that recording of that for, I can't remember how much it is, but it's not that much. So it's just a 90-minute presentation. And so I go into all of that. So like I said, I won't go into all of it here, but some tools just to help manage the workload, as well as physically how to manage what you're going to do and putting it into your diary, are to watch what comes in, and that is by getting good at saying no. So we've got a whole other podcast. Is it coming up? It might be coming up.
I think it is.
I don't think we've put this one out there yet. So watch this space. Actually, it's a good trailer. Power of No, because I think we've done the Power of Now, but we haven't released the Power of No yet. So that's a helpful tool for time management, because if you keep saying yes, and a lot of us do, because we just don't like letting people down, do we? We don't like upsetting people. We don't like saying no. And so that means you keep on taking more. And what do people that say yes all the time, particularly in a work environment, you know, the people that are busy, doing, and say yes all the time, and they're good at their job, and what do they get more of?
More work.
The same, because
exactly
the management don't want to ask the person that's over there chatting by the coffee machine that'll do it in their own good time, thank you very much, because they're laid back lils. They're asking you, the stressed out person that said yes all month, all year, and you've got a million things to do, but they know that you care more or care too much, and people take advantage of that. So probably my best time management tip is to start saying no. Or not right now. So you can say no, you can say, I can't do that this week or this month. Why don't you ask so and so, or why don't you delegate it out to another department or whatever? But I will do it, but it'll be next month. Or I can drop this, and this, and swap it for that. What do you want me to do? And what I call passing the monkey, which is, you know, getting it off your problem list and passing it on to somebody at a higher pay grade, or, you know, that's paid to take that weight on their shoulders more than you might be. You know,
literally throwing the decision back to them.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's not shirking your responsibilities. It's an actual logical, rational decision. It's like, well, I'm doing this, so if you want that doing, that's fine, but I'm swapping it for this. This will get done next week.
Exactly.
And it's, you know, instead of just taking it all on yourself, working longer hours, going home at night, taking work home, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So you've got to stop that rot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that saying no and putting those boundaries in there is something very much I've taken on board, probably, crikey, I'd say probably within the last 3 or 4 months, is actually no. I'd really like to, but unfortunately I can't.
Yeah, for me it was, I need to pinpoint the time that I had my mini breakdown, because I'm always talking about it, because not many people noticed that people might be listening to this who used to work with and think, what? She was fine. Because didn't let it show. It was all inside, and I didn't ever go off sick or anything. I was just one of those people that would just keep going and keep going. So it was clearly not good for me internally, but I didn't want people to think bad of me, and I was really struggling at night, really upset, you know, just that I can't get through all this work. And I had this misconception that the people that kept giving me the work or sending me all the emails and things like that must think that it's doable, or else they wouldn't be giving it to me. And it was when I hit rock bottom that I, you know, started to just think, I have to do something about this. So I fortunately for me, I got some help and, you know, got some therapy, but really I also, you know, I just remember the day that I kind of pulled myself up by the laces, if you like, and thought, right, what can I do? What can I do about this? Because I can't keep living like this. And so I managed to flip into like rational thinking. And it's unusual, that, because when you're in burnout and stress and fight or flight, as you
The last
know,
thing you do is
the
think rationally.
prefrontal
Yeah.
cortex, it's like, no, you're in fight or flight, so rational thinking is gone, it's out the window, and
Yeah.
you're just in survival. So I don't know what happened. I think it was just that I got to such a low point that some kind of survival thing kicked in and thought, I've got to logically sort this out. And one of the things that I decided to do was to stop work coming in. So then I was like, right, how can I, because I can't do it all. I've got to stop it coming in. And I had conversations with people and found ways around it. So I'd be like, right, well, if it's not, I don't think this should be my job anyway. Whose job should it be? And then I made it my job to convince those other people
Yeah.
or the managers of those other people that it was their job. And what's the reason? And I made a case, made a presentation, went to speak to them. So I like got off my backside, if you like, and made it my responsibility to delegate outside of the team, outside of the department, whatever it might be, outside of the company sometimes. I just found ways, made processes up, or just it didn't matter because I had the long game in mind. So it was like, right, I just need to get rid of some of this work. And I also logically thought through the sequence and thought, do you know what? Also, I'm doing this to such a high standard, it's probably not necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not that I'm going to now produce crap work and not care.
No,
It's
no.
just that my normal is somebody else's 150% just because of, you know, how I am. So
Yeah.
actually, like, doing a job that's, you know, done is better than perfect and it's just enough was helpful as well.
Yeah. I think that's, as a fellow perfectionist,
Recovering perfectionist, I
recovering
like to call
perfectionist,
myself.
yeah, I'm definitely on the same kind of wavelength as to, yeah, I've read through that now 5 times. I can't see any problems with it. It's going.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I read books on because email was one of my biggest problems. There was so many coming in. I read books on like how to manage email. So if I'm not sure, I'll like research something. I love it. I love learning. I love researching. So like, looked into it all and things like that. And it's that thing about replying to an email and then just like there's one thing being professional and making sure that you've got no typos in and just doing a quick spell check. There's another thing like poring over it for 40 minutes trying to make
Yeah.
sure that you've not offended anyone or upset anyone or come across in the right manner because you're never going to do that. Like words are so subjective and
Yeah.
people they don't get your body language and your tone. And so when it's an
Not
email,
at all.
people take the wrong end of the stick all the time, don't they?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can't help that. So yeah, being a bit more like done, bang, gone, and just not constantly overthinking your work is another thing. Even just deleting emails sometimes, you know, when you've not even read them, they backed up that much.
Yes.
And that was terrifying, but I just would batch them up and delete them because I'd been speaking to this. I tell this story. I've told this story a lot, but I was speaking to a senior manager in the company. Actually, I shan't name them, but they told me once because I must have been saying I'm really stressed. I've got all these emails, and then they just went, oh, just delete them, and I was like, jaw on the floor, could not believe it. I still find that difficult, but what I did was I just lumped them all into a folder.
Yeah.
And thought, well, if I need them, I'll come back to them. But I'm just going to get them out of my inbox because it was stressing me out and
Yeah.
making life difficult in terms of there was just too much traffic coming in. And I never needed them. Months later,
No.
I was like, what? Because most of it's probably junk, especially in an
Yeah.
office. It's so and so's birthday, they brought cakes in and you can see them, you don't need the email, and it's like, whatever. Um, and that actually, if in amongst that sea of 500 emails, there might be 10 that you need, somebody's going to send it again, chase
Yeah,
you up,
exactly.
and say, why have you not answered? And then blame technology all the time, can't you? I never got
Absolutely.
it, didn't see
Yeah.
it, must have overlooked it, deleted it by mistake, whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I'm more and more taking on board, I would say, this year, because I noticed that my own email inbox is just like, this is
It's a nightmare,
ridiculous.
isn't it?
This is
And it takes
ridiculous.
up space as well, but
Yeah.
you can't every day. Like I try and just click delete, 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 and you can't keep on top of it. So, another tip is to unsubscribe.
Absolutely, which is something again I'm taking on board definitely this year. I've subscribed to so much crap.
Yeah. We
It's
do it
like,
all the
why?
time. And oh, if you want my so and so, you need to put your email box
Yeah,
in here. And then some are not too bad, and you might
yeah.
get one a week or one a month.
But some,
I send a
crikey,
newsletter out once a month at the minute. It might increase, but it's only once a month. But yes, some you sign up for something and they're on you every
twice a day.
day or
I've had
twice a
some
day.
twice a
Yeah.
day. Please stop.
And so, just hit that little unsubscribe button,
Yeah, yeah,
especially if you go in like me sometimes every day and it's the same people and you think, well, I quite liked them. I might be interested later. But every day you're like, delete, 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 delete
yeah.
because you've not
So
got time for
I'm
it.
obviously not interested
Just
anymore.
get rid of it. Yeah, you can always subscribe again later. No one's ever going to
Yeah,
say, like, not, you're not coming back. You're
yeah.
bad.
But yeah,
So,
definitely hit that unsubscribe because there's nothing better.
yeah,
It
it's
feels,
therapeutic.
it reminds me of, and this has gone completely off track, a Peter Kay sketch when he was getting really stressed out with his Sky Plus being full.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was talking about, well, he said, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours. I've got one program on here, this is it's fine. And then it clashed or something, but then he's like, delete, 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 delete. I feel properly cleansed.
Yeah. Well, have you ever had it where I don't know if it's on Sky or we have one of those boxes? Um, it's confusing now. It's all like the same thing, isn't it? It used
Mm,
to be a box different to Sky. It's a Sky dish was separate, but we're subscribed up to Sky and we've got a box that I don't know. But have you ever had it where it's kind of crashed and it's deleted everything by accident? And it was like I had this once and I was like, oh, and then
my
after a
life
few
has ended.
seconds, you're like, this is really good.
Yeah,
Because again, it's a bit like a to-do list. You've got all this stuff you're going to get round to watching, and it's like,
yeah.
oh no, go and live your life. So
I
occasionally,
obviously wasn't that
if it
bothered if it was still
crashes,
on
yeah,
there from
you got
six
something
months
from
ago.
last Christmas you've not watched. It's like, come on. So yeah, this subject I could talk about forever. Like I said, I've got
Yeah,
a longer presentation if people want to dive into it more. I think the only other one or two I'd mention would be time blocking and
yeah,
prioritizing. So prioritizing, you alluded to it before with the different balls, and I think that is, I think I know which one you mean. Where as well, it's the priority balls that should
mm,
be family and health and stuff like that, and those are the
yeah,
glass balls. But actually, we're dropping them while we're juggling the email and the
exactly.
crap that we
The
shouldn't
plastic
be.
ones.
The
Yeah,
telly, yeah, the plastic ones. So we're
mm,
too busy because there's more of them
yeah.
and we're ignoring these like really important golden balls. Let's call them golden balls. So
Sorry, my head just went to another place.
did it
Carry
go
on.
to David Beckham? So yeah, prioritizing could be um what is the most important task that you want to get done today if you're thinking about your work, your job, your career. And I like to think about just three things because
Yeah.
your to-do list is never going to end, right? I used to think I was going to get it done. That
Mhm.
was another aha moment. One day I realized that it was an ongoing circular thing, not a
Oh yeah.
linear thing that there
Mhm.
was an end to. So you can prioritize two or three things so it's not overwhelming. You've actually given it a little bit of thought. What are the important tasks to get done today? And when you've got them done, you can celebrate. You can be like, yes. So that's a
Yes.
different energy to, oh my God, I wanted to do 50 things. I was totally unrealistic and then I never got it done. And you get to bed, you're really angry, or you're all thinking about what you've not done rather than what you have done. So
Mm.
flipping that, having that time just to think, what are my three things? And then getting them done and then being like, yay, I've done them,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
also prioritizing wider than that in terms of your golden balls and thinking, actually, what is the wheel of life exercise? What is
Yes,
it that I'm
love that.
doing for my fun, for my, not just for my job and my money, which we all tend to prioritize wrongly, really.
Mhm.
Um, for my health, my self-care, like I'm doing a lot about self-care in one of the yoga classes that I'm teaching at the minute, just telling people to make sure that they've got like a list that they can pick self-care activities off. And that
Mhm.
might be just treating yourself to sitting down and drinking a hot cup of tea instead of always getting it down your neck and it being cold and you've forgotten about it. Can be really simple, free, cheap things. meditating, breathing, but having that in your conscious awareness that it's just as much a part of your daily routine as all the other rubbish things like the plastic balls that we're juggling. So prioritizing, and that fits in with the time blocking, because then looking at your day, looking at your calendar and thinking, where's the space for this stuff? Because if you look at it and there's like meetings everywhere, and maybe you're not using a diary at the minute and you're just flying by the seat of your pants. If you get a diary and you start slotting in, I've got to walk the dog every day, I've got to like sort the kids out. If you've not put that in and you've not made time for it, you can be trying to like cram the other things in on top at the same time, which means then you get really stressed out, you get irritable, the kids come home and you're not there for them because you're trying to just finish that email or whatever. So yeah, the time blocking along with the prioritization is really important. I won't go on.
I'm just going to add a really quick one. Put a response on your email to say that you'll get back to someone within 48 hours. It's a life changer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because then you're not stressing that you have to get back to them within a couple of hours. You're giving yourself that 48 hours to get back to them. And it's, go straight back to them when they send an email. Up to them if they've got a problem with that, but that gives you the time.
I mean, I would go one further and say I wouldn't even want to be holding myself to getting back to somebody in 48 hours. What if I don't want to get back to them at all?
It's all
in a week.
That's up to you. That's up to you.
Put your own time limit on if you want to. So I will endeavour to get back to you within 7 working days or whatever. But if it's urgent, feel free to message me somewhere else, because that's the other thing. Emails can get lost, can't they, in the ether? So it might be a good idea to put a bit of a stamp on to say, if it's urgent, contact me via text or whatever, so that you're not thinking I need to have processed all my emails within 24 hours and da-di-da. Yeah. But, so do what suits you.
Fabulous.
Hopefully people have got some tips from that.
I definitely think so. Definitely. And it's all good to just, remind people of these things, because we can get to that point of stressed out, overwhelmed quite easily, and it can be pulled back.
Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes we think, oh yeah, I knew that, I know this stuff, but this is
what a little bit of a push.
Yeah, this is what this kind of work is about 9 times out of 10. It's reminding people and inspiring people, and they go, right, I'm going to do that. So yeah, hopefully we've done that.
Absolutely. So thank you, Adele. That's been a fantastic one, and we shall see you all next week, where we would love you to subscribe. We would love you to make comments on this podcast when we do release it, to see whether you're taking anything on board, which specific tools that you're going to use. And yes, we shall see you all next.
Yeah, like what are your biggest your biggest takeaways? That would be great. See you on the next one.
See you later. Bye.